Hope we're live streaming. I had a message come up when I started our restream and started using the program Restream. Had a message come up, but I think it's okay. I'll have our people kindly watching to make sure we're streaming. And tonight, since we brought up streaming, we're streaming live on Outreach Noah YouTube channel, and we're streaming live on A Simple Walk, and we're streaming live on B'nai Noach Fellowship. And we're so glad to have everybody that's coming in through those streams to visit us tonight. Sometimes they get a notification when we start streaming, so it takes a few minutes for them to come in. We also want to thank those of you that are listening by Power Faith Radio. We thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us tonight to learn from Torah, to learn from the Tanakh. And we have a very special I feel it's going to be a very special meeting class tonight. This is a subject that's very dear to my heart, and it's one that is so misunderstood. So what I'd like to do, I'm going to turn it over to Terry while I get ready for our Sadaka. What I'd like to do is Terry to discuss what we're going to be discussing. Just bring it out, the title of it, and greet everybody that's in the Zoom room. And I'm going to get ready for a Sadaka time. Terry, if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm busy wiping my eyes. I got those long eyelashes. My mom always told me I'd be a pretty girl. So if anybody wants some eyelashes, I've got some for you. Now that I wear glasses, they're always in the way. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. Just greet everyone in all of our venues that we are in, or the Simple Walk and the B'nai Noach Fellowship Facebook groups, the Power Faith radio station, and also our YouTube channel, Outreach Noah. We've actually been revamping that radio station, changing the name and working on it. Once we get to 100 or 100 plus on that particular YouTube channel, we can actually create a shorter URL link when we go to share the links. But until then, we have to use the one that they supply us. But welcome, everyone. Tonight, we're going to be doing something different. Now, if you've seen any of Scotty and I's videos where we're discussing something, we're going to try that tonight as the class. He and I are going to be discussing and examining the subject of righteousness. We've been getting some questions concerning the subject, and so we're going to teach on what it is, what it isn't, and everything in between tonight. And we're going to do it in the style that like we do our videos, where we're discussing it together, which I'm really been looking forward to it since we just decided to do this kind of a format tonight, because we've never done it before as a class. We've just got together and done some videos and posted the videos. So if it works out well, we hope to do some more in the future. And please let us know what you think, how it goes. And because we will like your input, since this is going to be a new for us tonight as well. And I can't think of anything else, Scotty, any other announcement. Have your pens and your paper, whatever note-taking apparatuses that you have. Also, feel free to send us any of your questions or comments. What we'd like to do tonight is we've got several that are watching the other groups and the live streams. And I know this is going to be a little bit on Scotty, but if we can get them over to him, because he'll be handling the questions and things like that. Scotty's going to have a busy night tonight. We're doing this, he's going to be handling the engine room over there and going to be in two places at the same time. And it's hard for us guys to multitask. At least it is for me.
Gosh, yeah.
My wife knows I am I can do one thing good. I can do two or three things not so good at the same time.
I am a person, Terry, that has to leave my chewing gum in the wrapper. There's two reasons for that. Number one is I can't chew gum and walk at the same time. And number two is they stick to my dentures and I have to pull them out.
Yeah, now that I've gotten older, I can't have my Snickers bars and stuff like I used to love. because I love my Dr. Pepper and Snickers bar. So I'm
Well, it does make it easier to go to the dentist. I
yeah.
gotta pull them out and put them in the mail. Until they come back.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, Scotty, are you ready for Sadaka tonight?
I am ready for Sadaka time. I am ready for Sadaka time. We've got a rather large list, so I'm going to try to go through it and read through it as not quickly, but and not efficiently. Y'all know how I am on names, so I'm going to do my best on names tonight. I got a request just before we started the meeting tonight, and so we're going to first start giving Sadaka tonight. We thank everybody that sent Sadaka, by the way, and I want to discuss that, Terry, if it's okay, in a future class. Yeah, I know we've already talked about it in one of the YouTube videos on Outreach Noah, and somebody can go over there and find it. But we've got some interesting questions that come in about Sadaka, and especially in blessed memory. So I thought we would cover that in a future class. So tonight,
maybe we can do like what we're doing tonight. We can just because it seems always easier for people maybe to understand when it's in a conversational style instead of just a lecture style.
Yes. So tonight we're going to start off with Cindy Yearwood and family, giving Sadaka for Cindy Yearwood and family, and we're going to explain that a little bit more better here shortly. And we're giving Sadaka tonight for Pesach Sherbo. I know he's recovering from his cataract surgery, but he's taking a little bit of time off. He's had a friend that passed, and so we're giving Sadaka for him tonight. Also, Ronald Dickman, how are you coming, Ronald, on your you still got another doctor to go to, and so how's that going, Ronald, while I'm on your name?
I saw my doctor the other day for my monthly prescriptions, and he thinks I'm going to have difficulty with the test that they're going to do. So he's given me a referral that I've submitted for a nuclear medicine test and an MRI type thing together. That way I don't have to do anything physical and I can get the same results of the heart. So I'm not sure how long that'll take. They said they'll get back to me in a couple of days because I had the referral and they need it before they can do anything. I don't know why they're going to get it, but they can't do anything until they've looked at to prove that that's what I'm getting.
Right.
But they queried about the other one, and I said, well, doctor doesn't think I'm going to handle it, so we're looking at changing to this. So hopefully early next week I'll at least be told when I can have an appointment.
Okay. Well, we're giving Sadaka for you tonight, Ronald. Also, Wendell and Mary Parsons. We just asked Wendell prior to the class starting tonight, but I want to ask you again, Wendell, for all those listening, can you just give us an update on your wife?
Yeah, she got out of the pain medication and anesthesia. It took her about 4 days, but she got successfully out of that, and we're just waiting now to have an appointment with the doctor next Wednesday, and hopefully this time they'll have all of the results instead of dragging it out.
Yes. Okay. We're giving Sadaka for that tonight. Also, we're still giving Sadaka for Bria Warnstaff, and we're giving Sadaka tonight for David Brimmer. And we're also giving Amuela. Somebody always sends in Sadaka for you, honey. And we're giving. Remember, I always say this. This is your dollar. This is just like you sent it in to us. So this is your dollar given to Sadaka tonight. And also Veronica Port. She's just looking so good. I mean, all the time she's looking better and better. And so we're giving Sadaka for her tonight. And also Thomas Schaus, giving Sadaka for you tonight, Thomas. And we thank those that sent the funds in for that. Also, we're giving Sadaka for John Helton tonight. Not my youngest son. Yes, my youngest son. Who I'll get that out in a minute. I've been here so long I forget how old my children are. So anyway, we're giving Sadaka. He's going through some things, and we're giving Sadaka for him tonight. And Ronnie Suits. Did I pronounce that right, Terry?
Yes. If you don't mind, I'll share.
Yes, yes.
With Ronnie. Ronnie is a fellow coworker with me. He's the same age as my dad. He just turned 75 in January. My dad did in April, and he's a COVID survivor, which we helped him out with some tzedakah when he got out of the hospital. He was out in the hospital for a very long time. He got COVID pneumonia. He lost the use of the top part of both of his lungs, and he had to go today to see if he's fit to be able to do. He's got to go Friday, and they're going to run some test or something on his lungs. They're got some stuff they're going to look at, but he had to make sure that he could do those tests. So he had to go, and I'll know in the morning how well his checkup today went. But Friday they're going to be going in and examining his lungs, and so we want to give tzedakah on behalf of a good report and that he's okay.
All right, giving tzedakah for him tonight. Baruch Hashem, giving tzedakah for him. And then also Andrea Chester's daughter, Tanya. I think that's correct, Tanya. And we're giving tzedakah for her tonight. She's doing better, but she has some medical issues that we need the Creator to move on. And now we're going to go to birthdays real quick. We don't have a lot of birthdays. We got Brianna. We mentioned Brianna Warnstaff a few minutes ago, and I saw where she had a birthday. So we're giving tzedakah for her birthday. And also Jeremy Kibbe. We really appreciate Jeremy. I'll never forget the first time I actually got to meet Jeremy in person. He is 1 in a million. Great guy. He had a birthday. And also my oldest grandson had a birthday, Caleb Helton, and we're giving tzedakah for him tonight. And also I'm going to try my best to pronounce this name. I should have did this one first, and then I would do better on the other ones. I would come out with a bang. Saifa, I'm just going to call her that. She knows who she is because there's no way. Somebody help me pronounce this name. It's, I can do it. Oh, I did it. Lebowski. It's Lebowski. It just comes to me. I hope that's right. So we're giving tzedakah for her birthday this week. Now we have 2 blessed memories, and I'm going to have a little trouble. Hold on. That's a good thing to have. It's trouble putting the money in the tzedakah box. So we've got a good rabbi friend lost his mother this past week, and I asked if I could give tzedakah if they would send the name, and so they're going to hold off on sending the name, but asked if I would give tzedakah tonight for that, and so I did. I want to give tzedakah for that tonight. Maybe I'll give the name in the future. I think there's some things going, but anyway, we're giving tzedakah for that. And then also we started out tonight with Cindy Yearwood and family, giving tzedakah for them, where we're giving tzedakah tonight for blessed memory of Cindy Yearwood. So remember tonight, all names mentioned, we are doing this class for their behalf and their merits, especially the blessed memories. So we thank again everybody that sent tzedakah in, and those of you who are listening, if you would like to know more about it, we're going to do a class pretty soon on that. Okay. All right, Terry, can you talk? Well, I know you can. Can you talk for 5 minutes and give me an opportunity to bring the Facebook pages and the YouTube channel up to speed on my end, and then I will be right back and we can start our class tonight. Is that okay?
That'll be just fine, because I've kind of got some introductory stuff that I was going to go through first.
Good.
If
Okay.
you don't mind, then we'll kick in.
Okay.
Okay. Like we said, we're going to be examining the subject of righteous or righteousness. We've been getting questions. Actually, we get questions quite often about the subject. So tonight we're going to dig into it. And I kind of want to open up in an interesting way, as I've been going through, examining things myself, pondering things over this week. and a question, not necessarily a question, but it's something that we all do. We all do. We all do this. Now, I'm bringing this up for a point of thought for you to think about. And that is, if you ever get ill, you go to the doctor and you kind of get a report that you really not satisfied with, especially in a terminal issue. What's a common thing to do? To get a second opinion, especially when you're dealing with the health. You always want to get a second opinion. On the average, if you're about to make a major financial decision, buy a house, buy a car, or any other things, maybe buy into a business, one of the things you do is you go out and you do as much research as possible. Sometimes you hire a lawyer to get the information because you're fixing to put your money, you're fixing to put your, into something, you're fixing to put your health into the hands of a doctor, or several doctors. And so you want to get the most and the best advice that you can get. And you don't want to just rely on a single opinion. And this is something we all do in all of our lives. But there's one area that's always neglected. Have you ever went and got a second opinion concerning the issues of your soul? Sometimes we accept religions and theologies and doctrines, we all have, myself included, because maybe we grew up in it. So we figured, everybody knows everything. But very rarely do we ever, when it comes to spiritual issues, go and get a second opinion about something. And so I just want you to think about that. Because, in answering some of these questions we've got before, we get these blanket statements back. I'm like, okay, but have you really researched that? Like if you're going to put your livelihood money into this situation, do you have all the facts before you make the decision? And I can say that everyone here, all of us, and me included, have grown up in religions where we didn't get all the facts. Maybe we were cornered with making a decision, an uneducated decision. But we went with it because other people's been doing it. Okay, it's fine. We have a responsibility to get the facts. That's what the Creator wants for us to do. Matter of fact, He actually doesn't even say, the Creator doesn't tell us to have faith in Him. He says to know Him. Well, how do you know somebody? You do a little bit of research. So yeah, that was a thought I've come to my mind this week. I kind of wanted to start off with. So I just want you to think about, before, you're going to hear some things tonight that you're not going to, that's not what I've heard before. We're here to give you the second opinion on this subject because of some of this you're not going to have heard before. Now, that being said, please hang with us. Some of this is going to be a little hard. That's what we're doing. We're examining the subject of righteousness. Again, those of you, if anybody who has ever worked around money, how do they train you to spot a counterfeit?
Teach you the real thing.
They teach you to study the real thing so good that when a counterfeit pops up, you'll recognize it. Well, folks, I'm going to tell you something. Those of us out here in the nations, pretty much for the most part, wasn't allowed to study the real thing because not the fact that the real thing was kept from us, from those who had it, but it was from the counterfeiters. They didn't want us to know what the real thing looked like. And myself included. And so tonight we're going to be going into the Hebrew Scriptures. We're going to be going into what's called the Tanakh. That is the correct term for the Hebrew Scriptures. The Tanakh is an acronym. It's for Torah, Nevi'im, and Ketuvim, or the Torah and the prophets and the writings. That is the correct official technical term for the Hebrew Scriptures. Why are we going there? Because it's not the counterfeit. It's the real thing. The Creator gave Israel the Torah some almost 3,400 years ago. He gave them, I meant to look up the passage, but he gave them the written Torah and the oral Torah. The written and then the explanation of the written. And it's in the passage as well. There's a passage that says he gave them the stones, the Torah, and the mitzvahs. It's in the Hebrew Scriptures. I meant to look up at this morning, and I got busy looking at something else and forgot to get that exact reference. But what I'm saying is there's 34, and I'm using 34, it's like 3,300 and something years since the time that the Creator gave his revelation to the people of Israel when they became a nation. Over 3 million people was there at that moment, and their descendants today, so who we call the Jewish people today, in that terminology. But there's 3,300 years of knowledge and tradition and transmission of that knowledge that has gone down. That's where we're going. You're not going to learn what we're going to teach you tonight somewhere out in the Western religions and Eastern religions and Southern religions, whatever you want to call them. That's out in the nations, that's developed over the last few hundred, maybe thousand or 2 years. We're going back to the source. And that being said, and I know that's some tough. I wasn't sure if I was going to share that or not, but we just got to be real. We're examining something very important here. Like we said, this, when you go to a doctor and you get a second opinion on a terminal illness, is this what I really have? Is there anything different that I can do? Well, tonight we're the doctors. We have been taught. Scotty and I have been taught by our teachers and what all this is and how to find it and how to study it. And that's what we're bringing tonight. We're bringing what we've been taught by the knowledge and the traditions of the Hebrew people that goes back to Mount Sinai. And that being said, as I stated last week, I think it was last week, there's a Torah principle that where anything is mentioned first in the Torah, it is its foundation. Anything that comes after that cannot change its meaning. It cannot shift it in any way. It has to line up 100% with it. It's the permanent foundation wherever it's first mentioned. And tonight, we've already said this before, but I'm going to bring this up again. Since we are discussing righteousness, the first place that the word tzaddik, righteous, meaning a righteous man, righteous person, is in Genesis chapter 6 and verse 9. And the chief rabbi, Lord Jonathan Sacks of blessed memory, he started an article like this. He says, "The praise that Noah is accorded is unparalleled anywhere in the Tanakh, the Hebrew Scriptures. He was, says the Torah, and says God, who spoke the Torah to Moses." So the Creator is the one who actually says this. "A righteous man, perfect in his generations, Noah walked with God. No such praise is given to Abraham or Moses or any of the prophets. The only person in the Hebrew Scriptures who comes close was Job, as he was described as a blameless and upright, and he feared God and shunned evil. Noah is in fact the only individual in all of the Tanakh to be described as righteous. That blows your socks off there, don't it? It blew my socks off when I first learned this. And remember, it was the Creator who told Moses, he said, Noah, Ish Tzaddik. He was a righteous man. Now, Scotty, right before we get on, read this section here from the commentary on Bereshit, on Genesis, on actually Parshas Noach. There are 3 words formed from the same root, expressing the same concept. The 3 words is, in Hebrew, it's tzaddik, tzedek, tzedakah. Tzaddik is a righteous person. Tzedek is justice in a court of law. And tzedakah is charity. The 3 words, in common parlance and understanding, they are commonly taken as 3 widely varied ideas. They're 3 ideas. People think of a tzaddik as a righteous person, one who pursues religious things and spiritual things, otherworldly things, and even asceticism. A righteous person is one who's been seen that he denies himself. He has a very strong spiritual self-discipline. Tzedakah is charity or benevolence based on the circumstances of one's needs, and is far removed from tzedek, which is strict and scrupulous application of the principles of law without the regard to the need or circumstances of the litigants. It's strict. It's law. But all 3 of these are the root word. It says, but the Hebrew language teaches us otherwise. All 3 words are derived from tzedek, justice. All 3 concepts are different expressions of the same theme. And this is the theme of what tzaddik, tzedek, and tzedakah, all 3 has one theme. God has created the world with a plan, and that every human being must see himself as an executor of that plan. I just wanted to bring that up as an introduction, Scotty.
All right. Great. This also, if you are B'nai Noach, and I listen, those of you that listen to me, you know that I try to choose my words wisely because I do not want to offend any other religion.
Right.
So I'm choosing my words wisely, so you just have to decipher some of what I say. But those of you that are B'nai Noach and looking for a way to discuss things with people around you, that's another one of our goals. We're wanting to present this topic, righteousness, in a position tonight where you will not be afraid to discuss it with those that are around you. And those of you that may be looking for a second opinion and don't know it. So that's what my grandmother used to say all the time. They're just looking for a second opinion, honey. They just don't know it. So you go ahead and tell them what you know. So on that, one of the issues with religious principles today is we use words so often we forget the exact meaning of the word. And so the exact meaning of the word righteous, or let's look at righteousness, the exact meaning of the word has more to do, Terry, with actions rather than positional stance. Did I say that correctly?
Actually, righteousness, biblical When I say biblical, I'm referring to the Hebrew scriptures. Righteousness biblically is an action.
Action.
It's not a stance. It's not a faith, and it's not a belief. It's either done or not done, and that's it. It's that black and white. It's either done or not done.
So you either have righteousness or unrighteousness.
Yes, it's just like black and white. One's either white or one's black.
Good deeds or bad deeds.
Right. Yeah, good deeds and bad deeds. Righteousness is an action, and this is from God himself. If someone else has told you that it's not, that information didn't come from the Creator who gave Israel what righteousness was on Mount Sinai.
Correct. Now looking at Noah and the description that the Creator gave to Moses to write down, that would mean that Noah was a righteous man. He had good deeds, but did it come via a religion?
No.
How did he? So his actions gave him this terminology from the Creator.
Well, let's go to the passage. Let's go to the passage. In Genesis chapter 6:9. Genesis chapter 6:9 says, one translation, Jewish English translation says offspring. These are the offspring of Noah. The word that's translated offspring is also translated as products, as it is noted earlier in Genesis, a few passages back, saying this is the products of the heavens and the earth. And that's what this is. It's toiledot, which can be translated, depending on its usage in the passage, as offspring or products. These are the products of Noah, or these are the offspring, or however you want to put it. An ish tzaddik, a righteous, a man righteous. Actually, it says a man righteous. And then it goes on as tamim, perfect, which that's another subject on saying some translates that as perfect, but others sees it also that perfectness means a moral. He had a high moral standard, and that's another message in itself. So we're going to be dealing with righteous. So what we're seeing here, how do we know? Right here, we get the understanding that righteousness is an action. It's a product. It's an offspring. Noah had to do something to produce it.
Yeah.
If you build a chair, the chair's product, but there took an action of building that produced the chair. As offspring, it is taught spiritually by the sages that the very first thing that a person develops that comes from you as a person is your character. And your character is your actions. And so we can see right here, even in the wording that the Creator says, he says, Ela toiledot Noach ish tzaddik. That Noah himself produced righteousness. He produced it. He didn't believe in it. It wasn't a faith. It wasn't a religion. It's something that he did. He produced it.
And he produced it without the aid of religion. Can I say it that way?
Yes. Yeah, because the modern religions that we have today didn't exist.
Correct.
So that's why we have to go back to this point. We're going back to the time of Noah to understand, all the way back to the beginning of Genesis to understand what this word is.
So
and anything that's added to that after has to say the same thing, complement it, but if it's opposite or different, it was brought in by a different source.
So I want to, someone just sent a message through, so I want to re-establish what you started with, is the way you find out what the actual definition, if I can say it this way, the actual foundation principle of a word is go back where it was first used, and that is the foundation that you must must use.
When we're talking about the Hebrew scriptures and those things, where the word is like, there's other words that are in Genesis where they're used for the first time. We're not going to get into that right now because I want to do a rabbit trail. But this is the very first place that righteous is used in the Hebrew scriptures. The Creator said it. Moses wrote it. And Israel explains to us what that means. And not only that, this is the only place in 600 and something thousand Hebrew letters of the Hebrew scriptures that righteousness is attributed to a man.
Yes.
That's how strong this is. This tells us who Noah was. Not to say that there was not righteous men. We're just saying this is the only place that the Creator within his writings of the Torah describes someone. There were men that were great men, like, Noah walked with God. Moses communed with God face to face. Not face to face that God has a face, but that's just how the Scripture tells us in human terms.
Right.
He was in his direct presence, where Noah walked with God based on his righteousness and his morality.
So I'm about to bring up a subject. I'm looking for it right now. Terry, give me that text you just read. 6:9.
Yeah, Genesis chapter 6, verse 9.
Where is it where it said Noah found grace?
Okay. That was
It's
that's actually a little bit before when the Creator was telling him he was going to destroy the earth and he was chosen. Hold on. I know where you're going with
I'm looking for
because there's some interesting information about that. I'm in my interlineal, so it takes me a little bit. I've got the Hebrew, then the English directly under it.
Yeah, bear with us, everybody. Bear with us, everybody. We're going to find this.
Hey, this is what Scotty and I get on, and we just do this right here. When we get together and talk.
If one of you find it, just type it in there. Noah found grace is what I'm looking for. I'm
having to go backwards because it's.
And I see we just threw this out. This is live. This is not Memorex. So
okay. Hold on.
Let's see. Amuel, did you put that in verse 8? Amuel, just type that in verse 8. And but Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Amuela, honey, you just outdo yourself. I'm just telling you. You just do it. So I want to discuss this text. Now,
hold on. I'm coming back to verse 8. So
6 and 8.
Okay, here we go. Like I said,
I'm
reading from my interlineal. So I've got the Hebrew, which is right to left, and then you've got English that goes underneath each one, and it's not exactly in sentence form. So yes, 8. But Noah found grace or favor in the eyes of Hashem. Okay.
So let me first, I need to cover two things, Terry. First of all, I need to cover what you and I just did was typical man. We went all the way back and started coming up. Amuela just went straight to it. It was right there under our nose, the very verse above number 9. So thank you, Amuela. So
it's like my wife. She says, it's like my wife when she tells me, something's over there. She goes, no, don't look at the ceiling. It's not up there. I said, it's over here.
So I want to ask you a couple of questions about this text. Noah found it. It says grace or favor in the eyes of. Now we use the Creator. We use Hashem. This we're not going to cover the word Lord at this time, but this is God Himself. It's not a piece of God, not a part of God, not a son of God.
It's the 4-letter name that was given to Moses.
So there was obviously. And I know this is going to spark some interest, but this is from what I want to dig out of this. And Terry, you can help us find the information in this. there obviously was something about the righteousness of Noah that brought a spark in the Creator's eyes. Noah found grace. Was it Noah hunting, or that the Creator saw the righteousness? That's going to be.
Say that again.
Okay. Was it Noah looking to the Creator and found the grace, or was it the Noah's life sparked a twinkle in the Creator's eye? Did I say it right yet? Did I bring it out correct? I know that's a funny way of.
I'm going to start right here. I'm going to drop back to verse 7 because it's always good to look in context.
Because the reason I'm bringing that, I want to know,
There's several things.
Was Noah doing this for the principle of the Creator, or did the Creator see Noah doing this, and this is what happened?
Well, in what you're saying right there, what he saw was, let's go back to Jonah. We just covered 20 weeks in Jonah, and it says the Creator saw their deeds.
Yeah,
and he gave them the right. They stopped their injustice. He saw the deeds, because he says, I mean, if we just look at that passage alone, right here it says Noah found chain, favor or grace, ba'ene, that's the eye. He found grace in the eye of the Creator. So he, again, the Creator, like he did with Nineveh later down, he saw their deeds and granted them repentance. He saw the Creator saw. It was in his eye, not in his ear, not in his heart, which, again, the Creator does not have all of these. He says, you saw no form. And if you attach a form to the Creator, that's idolatry. So we have to be careful with that. But the Creator uses human terms because we're human. We cannot fathom his realm. So he has to talk to us on our level. Like when you're talking to a child, you've got to talk to a child on its level. And we're his children, and we pretty much stay children. He has to talk to us on his level. Behain, this is interesting, favor or grace. Chain is Noah's name reversed. Noach's name is Nun Het. Nun Het. I mean, grace or favor is Het Nun. Noah's name means comfort.
Mm-hmm.
See, and it's kind of some interesting what we're seeing here. Now, what Sepharno says here, but Noah found favor. God's favor was needed in order to save Noah's family. Otherwise, only he, Noah, would have been spared. Although Noah himself was righteous, he did not try to. Now, this is part of Noah's downfall, is that he didn't spread his righteousness. And we're going to be talking about that in another subject later. He was righteous in what he did, but he didn't really influence others to be righteous.
Yeah.
His family is not listed as righteous. But because of his righteousness, because where he stood in that generation was so evil that God found favor in his righteousness, in the deeds that he did, how he treated, though he didn't influence others to become righteous, which we are supposed to do, but he was righteous toward them, regardless of who they were and how they were. His righteousness was paramount with this wicked generation that was about to cause the destruction of the earth. And because of his righteousness, God found favor in him, because he was very righteous. He was very moral. He was a moral man. And so God could have created Noah another wife on the other side, just like he did for Adam, but he didn't. He says, no, take your wife and children, and your sons and their wives in. And none of them are listed in as far as spirituality, what kind of shape they were in. Now, Shem later would take up the mantle. He would become Melchizedek, the righteous king, because he would be the one that would take the righteousness that he learned from his father, who learned it from Adam, and he transmitted it to Abraham and Isaac. Shem and his grandson Ever. So his son did catch it. We don't know how far later, but he did become a righteous king. And just like his dad was righteous, he became a righteous king, and then transmitted that to Abraham. In Safad, Israel, actually, there's a cave there that's called the cave of Shem and Ever, where he had a school where Shem taught these things his father. Shem went on and started sharing the things his dad should have been sharing. His dad was living them. Shem began to live them and to begin to share them. Because how do we know that? Well, he shared it and he taught Abraham and Isaac. So we know that he took it to the next step. And then Abraham took it on to the very great next step. And it kept growing from there until that's the model that God created Israel with. Is Tzedakah and Mishpat, the root word Tzedek, and so, or Tzedek. And so he found favor in God's eyes because of his righteousness, and it allowed his family to go on the ark with him.
So they obtained merit because of his righteousness? Would we say it that way?
I don't know if you would say that. It just says he found favor in God's eyes in order to save Noah's family. Otherwise, he would have been the only one spared.
Is there a principle? I've got another way to go with righteousness here, but I want to ask this since you said that.
While you're saying that,
is there a principle where my good deeds, I want to start using the term good deeds with righteousness, is there a principle where my good deeds would maybe give favorable merit to someone in my family? Or am I looking at that wrong? Or is this it's
one of those things you've got to be careful with, because
not doing it for them to receive favor.
Yeah, because see, you can't give someone your righteousness. They can't take your righteousness.
This is true.
Your righteousness can influence them to do.
Okay.
That's a good point. That's a good right. Point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So your righteousness should influence people. Your good deeds should influence people.
Yeah, matter of fact, there's the lesson that I want to go into spinning off of this one is what Rabbi Hirsch calls Abraham's righteous man, talking about when Abraham approached the Creator about Sodom and Gomorrah, if there be 50 righteous. Because this really leads up. Matter of fact, we can actually probably discuss what you're saying in that within that lesson.
Okay.
Because of what it entails, what it meant, what it would have meant for to be Abraham's righteous man. Who was he looking for that would have saved Sodom?
Okay.
And what that righteous person would look like, what he would have acted like. We're going to be getting really into that, and it's a really good study, a real good study.
Now, is there? Well, I shouldn't bring this text up. Prayers of a righteous. No, I won't bring that text into it right now.
This doesn't have to be the only class on this. We can continue.
Correct. Well, we're not going to be able to cover it all because we're already at 49. So
I'm sorry.
There's no way we can cover. No, that's good. That's good. So I'm going to delve into something, and then while you're discussing it, I'm going to go find this text. And again, I want to stress to myself and to everybody to choose your words wisely. We're not here to offend. But there are religious principles that would say without certain religious principles, any good deed you do will not avail anything. They will be like, which they're taking this text of filthy rags completely out of context. But if you do any kind of good deeds or righteousness, quote unquote, without certain religious principles, then you're doing it in vain. So,
and
can you
also
cover that a minute?
and also the sages of Israel, they didn't have this term, but it's a term we recognize today. I'm going to bring some modern terminology into this. Your righteousness, your actions and your deeds can be like a butterfly effect, or the stone thrown into like the pond, and it ripples out, and it can affect people that's not even born yet.
Yeah.
And so can your wickedness. So think about that.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. It works two different ways. So what would you say to someone who feels that no matter what good they do, it's not going to be accountable to them? It's not going to be it's funny how people think the bad things I do is going to be accountable to me, but then they don't think about the good things that they do as accountable to them because they're not of specific
Who
religions.
who told you that?
The religion.
Hold on here.
Oh, you're gonna. Oh, yeah. Who?
I want to help that person. I want to help.
Yes.
I want to help that person out with the very words
I know.
spoken by the Creator.
I want to stress. Please listen to the text and write it down that Terry's about to read, because it is an eye opener. It is an eye opener. So, tell Amuela where you're at.
I will. Hold on here. I'm gonna just Amuela, Ezekiel 18. By the way, this is my soapbox set of passages, because this is the passage that changed my life 20 years ago or so. Yeah, a little over 20 years ago. Ezekiel 18, beginning in verse 20. And it says, "The soul that sins, it shall die. A son shall not bear the iniquity of his father, and the father shall not bear the iniquity of his son." Now, for those who don't think that your righteousness means anything, before I go to this very important next passage, Ezekiel 18, verse 1. "And this is the word of Hashem come to me, saying." So what I'm about to read you are the words of the Creator to the prophet, not the prophet's words. That's one of the things you'll find in the Hebrew Scriptures. None of the things that is stated is the prophet's words.
Yeah.
So this is what the Creator is saying. "The righteousness of the righteous person shall be upon him." That tells you right there, there's righteous, because God says there is. Who's going to... Okay, I don't believe that. Well, then don't believe God. This is what God says.
Yeah.
And I think, and the reason why I say that, I don't say that in a mean spirit, is it hit me one day about these things, like with Genesis 6:9, that God was telling Moses this. Moses didn't write this down from memory or thought or tradition. No, that was spoken by God first into the ears of Moses. And so this is being, the word of the Creator has come to the prophet, and it's telling him that they're righteous people. And it says the righteous of the righteous is on the righteous person, and the wickedness of the wicked is on them. "As for the wicked man, if he repents from his sins and he commits and he observes all my decrees and practices justice and righteousness, he shall surely live and not die. All his transgressions that he has committed will not be remembered against him,
Wow.
and he shall live." This is the word of the Creator to the prophet. "And he shall live because of the righteousness that he did." It's an action. not belief, not
Wow.
faith. You will live because of the righteousness that you do. This is very important. And you will die because of the wickedness that you do. Wickedness is not a faith or a belief or a religion. It's an action. It's a way of life.
Well, I really want to bring something up right here, but I do not want to get into religious factions.
Right? No. I'm just. We're bringing this back down to the level that
Yes.
our teacher, our beloved teacher, Pesach Sherbo, taught me when I first met him. Several years ago, and he contacted me, and we talked for months before we actually started, getting involved in doing things. This is something he taught me a long time ago, and I've never forgotten this. Walking with God is not a religion; it's reality.
Yes.
Because see, religion, as we know it, did not exist then. It was. This is what we have to try to do, and I have to remind myself, especially when I'm mad at somebody. And it's easy to do when you're in the workplace with things that goes on sometimes in the workplace, or that person that about run you off the road going down the highway. We have the Creator here. We have to be reminded we're the created. He's the Creator. He has the right to tell us there is righteousness. You can be righteous. You can live righteously. You can overcome wickedness. You can overcome sin and iniquity. You can overcome this. He made us. He knows what we can do. He made us. We are the created, and He is the Creator. And I have to remind, and that's part of this learning is on righteousness. Who's telling us this stuff? It's the Creator. This is not a religion, because no, these religions that we know, that I grew up in, Scotty grew up in, and you grew up in, didn't exist when these words were said. Matter of fact, when God spoke these things to Ezekiel, Islam didn't exist. Buddhism didn't exist. Hinduism didn't exist. Christianity didn't exist. Judaism didn't exist. And Judaism is a man-made religion. But the true Torah Jews, it's not a religion.
Right.
It's not a religion. And so all these isms didn't exist when this stuff was written. That's why we go back and look at the foundation. Go ahead, Scotty.
No, you were going to a text. Another one, I know you were fixing to reach for it, about who told you. Were you going to who told you you were naked?
No, I can do that. I got it.
Can you go to that?
Hold on. I got a bookmark, I believe. Right.
I'm gonna push you over. Oh, was you through with Ezekiel 18?
No, yeah, I can be unless there's something else.
No, I just thought you would.
Hold on, I've got my books. I got my books.
Okay, yeah, you got your books.
Somebody talked me into getting this desktop computer, and it gets in the way. Because if anybody's seen pictures I've posted, generally when I'm studying something, I've got books scattered everywhere. I've got tables I bring over here and stack my stuff up. It's in Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3. And in verse 11, we all know the situation that the Adam and Eve did the no. They done something they wasn't supposed to do, and they hid from God. And but it's interesting because the Creator, it says, V'yomer me Hegid Lach. And he said, who told you? Who told you? It's interesting. It says he said instead of asked. I mean, because we put a question mark at the end of it, but it actually begins with Vayomer. He said to them, "Who told you?" See, if the Creator has not revealed that to you through His words, which in the beginning in His Hebrew scriptures. And we go back to the book of Genesis. I've been in Genesis now for years now, since I've been learning this. I can't get out of the book of Genesis because it's everything I need to know to live and to walk with the Creators in the book of Genesis, and primarily in the first 9 chapters. I live my life off the first 9 chapters. But the Creator says, who told you? Meaning a second source. A second source. Who are you believing? Wait a minute. The Creator, He goes, I am the source. Matter of fact, in Isaiah 45, he says, Ani va'enod. He says, I am. Ani Hashem va'enod. Ani Hashem. I am God and there is no other. So who told you? We have to look at that. Where did we learn what we learned? And yeah, somebody's told Scotty and I these things in the Hebrew Scriptures, but they were commanded by God to do so. Israel was created to be the priestly nation, and they were commanded to be the light unto the nations. And being the light of the nations is showing us what's there. We pick things up and we read it from our translations, and we make a lot of mistakes. They study it from the very way it was known 3,400 years ago, and they passed the transmission down to us and how to understand it. So we need to ask when you go and you said, well, so and so says this is what righteousness is. Well, who told you? Who told them? Find the transmission behind where that information came from. Go ahead, Scotty.
Okay. This conversation is going by so fast.
I know.
And I know we're discussing righteousness and what it is.
Scotty, can we just go ahead and take it to 9:30 because we did do a little.
Yeah, we're going to
Sadaka. We did Sadaka at the beginning because
we're going to because this next jump I want to take on it, I know it's going to go. So, why do I need to do righteousness? What is the why do I need to do good deeds? What can my good deeds change the world?
Well, yes. And let me put it this way. Why do you need to do good deeds? Goes back to Genesis chapter 2, verse 16. By Esav, Hashem Elohim, O Adam, and God commanded Adam. He commanded man. Why do you need to do good deeds? Because that's what God commands. It's the only reason you need to have. Now, can your good deeds change the world? In 2 ways, it can change the world. The good deeds we're talking about is not the religious piety. Righteousness is not religious piety in what we understand it. It's not walking around swinging incense and and in the worship centers praising and jumping up and down. That's not what righteousness is.
Right.
Righteousness is doing what is right. Opening the door for someone, helping someone change a tire, helping a lady across the street, help paying for somebody, in the grocery line that maybe don't have enough money or maybe left their purse at home. It's anytime you do something good for humanity, and I love this. I think it was Rabbi Friedman. Manus Friedman says this: when you do whatever you do that is good for that makes humanity exist in a very positive way, is the will of God. And he used really interesting situations. The man who come up with, or person, I'm going to say person, that's the nature we're in society. The person who came up with the idea of running a water line to a house so you didn't have to go to a well is the will of God. The person who designed the indoor toilet so that you don't have to go to the outhouse in sub, below freezing temperatures and the weather we've been having here lately, is doing the will of God. That's even doing the will of God. That's doing righteousness, because you're making. See, we in the nations don't have the same mission as Israel. We don't have the same spiritual mission, and we confuse that sometimes. We see Israel, in the temple praising in prayer, and they've got their garments on. They're doing their things. They're praying 3 times a day. They're only eating certain things because that's what God told them to do. We confuse that. Our mission on the earth as a non-Jew is to settle the earth and to create harmonious and successful societies, law-abiding societies. Now, yes, you can change the world. Some people are gifted. Scotty and I've got some friends that are really gifted in getting involved in their community and helping out with legal situations within their community and helping laws be written and changed. That's a way you can change the world. But one of the reason why murder is so bad, God says, one, that we shouldn't shed blood because that person was created in the image of God. Understand, when you kill someone and you hurt someone, you destroy their world, their universe. Because the world was everything to them. But when you do good, when you lift the hands of the needy, then you make that person's world greater. And when you do that, it makes your world. You change the world you live in every day within yourself. That's why it's so important for you to do good deeds, is because you're impacting the very world you live in every day, and that's the person you are, who you want to be. And then when you take that and you go outside of yourself, then you begin impacting the world for someone else. Yeah, does Scotty and I see that we're ever going to change, empty all the prisons out and change all the the weird sacrifices that are going on in other nations and think, no, we don't. But there's a really good Jewish parable. There was a mountain, and a king said, I want that mountain moved. He hired 2 men to move that mountain. He gave them a shovel and a bucket. Every day they went out there and they shoveled and they hauled that little bit of dirt off. Well, one guy got to looking at the mountain and it became too great for him, and he says, I'll never get this done. And he leaves. The other man looks at the mountain. He says, whether I get done or not, I'm paid to do it. And that's me and you. We will not change the world as a whole, but we can change someone else's world, and you can change the world you live in. And that's what righteousness is all about.
So I
Go ahead, Scotty.
I need to throw a story in.
Okay.
You know me and my stories.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you're from East Tennessee. I know.
I'm from it. Yeah. Sometimes we and please hear me out when I say this. Sometimes we go looking to do good deeds. That's great.
Yes,
That's
we
awesome.
should, and we should.
And we should. But then other times, good deeds fall upon us in our actions of something bad happening to us. Now I'm gonna tell you what I'm talking about. When I was a young man, my wife and I, when we had went to this establishment, and this place bought me my first tailor-made suit. I just thought I was all that and a bag of chips, even the crumbs at the bottom. You know what I'm talking about? My first tailor-made suit, 3-piece suit. And we went to a local restaurant after I picked up the suit. We went back down to that place and had a great time. And several of us went out to eat at this restaurant after that. And there was a young waitress waiting on us who had not been waitressing long. And she had like 7 or 8 glasses, tea and water and different things in her tray, Coke and all this stuff. And she was making her way to our table, and she stands next to who? next to me. Now here I am in my tailor-made 3-piece silk lined suit. I mean, I think I still got it. My wife can tell you if I still got it upstairs. It don't fit, but it brings back memories. So she lifted one glass off, and when she did, she lost the others, and they came right down in my lap. Most of the religious people she had met already during her young waitressing career would have blew her out of the water. I mean, she's already damaged enough. Look what happened. So all these other waitresses come over. They're trying to clean up the mess. I mean, we're talking about several glasses of drinks everywhere. And so I kept saying, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Everything's okay. So the next thing I know, there's another waitress waiting on us. And I said, wait a minute, where's the other young lady? Well, she's out back crying. I want her waiting on us. I want her to come back in and wait on us. I'm not upset. And she came back in, and we had the best of time. Everybody just started laughing about it. She started laughing about it. I met that girl today.
Oh, wow.
At a restaurant, and she said that impacted her whole life because I didn't chew her out. I didn't fuss at her. I didn't show all of her guilt. We just had a good time. And I met her at a local restaurant at Midland Restaurant, Thomas. I met her at Midland Restaurant today. And she kept looking at me, and it wasn't, of course, I've changed. I had hair back then. I know that this is hard to believe, but I had hair back then, and I could actually comb it. And ask my wife, I carried a comb in my pocket. And but it was my voice that gave me away. And she said, I know you. And then of course, I didn't remember her, but she remembered everything and told it. And it was just, so anyway, your act, if something bad happens around you or may happen to you, your actions can improve the situation.
Right.
So I just want to throw that in the.
Well, Scotty, that's one of the things, as you were saying that brings this idea to mind. When we are talking about
Midland Restaurant just got a plug for me, by the way. Go ahead.
There you go. when we're talking about being righteous, we're not talking about being religious.
Exactly.
Actually, Scotty and I, we are, I'm not going to say anti-religious, but we're not pro-religious. We're pro-righteous. We're there are terms that even the heathens use because what religion has done. And there's a term that I don't like because I know the complete story. Y'all have heard me say this before. I'll be watching TV or listening to the news, and this person goes in, they do a good deed, and they help out, a situation like, I think there was a shooter here the other day, and this woman happened to have the gun in her purse, and she took out the shooter before I think anybody got hurt. And what does the news call this person? A good Samaritan. I hate that term. I hate it like I do Brussels sprouts. Here's the reason why. That term and that story is anti-Semitic. It is. I'm sorry, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you've got to understand, when you start learning also the true Torah from the Hebrew people, you start learning more about who they are and what they are. And you'll see that some lies have been stirred up with some situations. Because, see, it's a different ball game with them guys, folks. And you've got to know where they're coming from in their situations. I want to hear people, and I'll be honest with you, I don't like the term good Christian. Oh, that's a good Christian. Oh, that's a good Muslim. Oh, that's a good Buddhist. Leave the religion off.
Right.
I don't care what religion they are. Be a good person, human being that God created. God did not create religion. He created humanity. Quit sticking religious titles to God's creation and be what He created you. And that is a good person. How do I know he created you to be a good person? Because at the end of every day, including the sixth day, when man was created, he says, it was good. And so, yes, you're good.
So can I take this to another level?
Take it. Go ahead, Scotty. You know me, I'll just keep going.
I want everybody to hold their breath. No, not that long, because you know, we study, and we look for truths, and we do what you were talking about. We go back to the very first time a word is used, such as tonight we're discussing righteousness, good deeds, and but I'm going to call it witnessing, okay? Can my witnessing, what is it? The word just left me when
Example?
Well, like if I'm wanting to bring people over to my side, the word just left me. Can my witnessing, I will use that term, can my witnessing be done the wrong way and I end up looking unrighteous? If I'm wanting to share what I have, can I do that wrong and make the good that I have look bad? Did I say that right?
If I understand what you're saying.
Can I take what I know now?
Oh, yeah. If I'm understanding what you're saying, let me use the terminology that I've come up with since I've been involved in that in the past.
Proselyting. I'll use that. That's what I was thinking. Go ahead, Terry. Go ahead.
If any time you use the good like a weapon.
Yeah.
Some use the Torah like a baseball bat. What they may be saying is 100% true, but the way they're using it's 100% wrong, and it brings damage. Matter of fact, Psalms 19:8. Excuse me. This is one of those I always get backwards.
Psalms 19.
I think I may be overspoke, so let me go over here and find it real quick. Because it's one of these. It's one of these. I always, for some reason, get the references backwards.
Is that the law of the Lord?
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, 19:8. The Torah. I did have it right. Psalms 19:8. The Torah of Hashem, the Creator, is perfect. It's perfect. Matter of fact, it's the word tamim. The same word that we have here with Moses. I mean, not Moses, Noah. It's perfect. It restores the soul. You hear me? The Torah is perfect and it restores the soul. If you're using the Torah as a baseball bat to beat somebody up with to prove your agenda, your thought, it does not restore the soul, it tears it up. So therefore it's not being used correctly. And that's the same way with your righteousness. If you're using your righteousness out of vanity, look at me, look how good I am. You're bringing a bad light on what righteousness is.
Yes.
And righteousness just should become a part of who you are. It shouldn't even be really a theology. It should just be who you are as a good person. I mean, that's who Noah was. That's why he caught God's eye. He found grace in God's eye. The way he was caught his eye versus how everybody else was.
Yeah.
He was a light. And a light attracts. And that's what your righteousness should do. And like I said, it's not a religion and it's not a faith. It's not a belief. It's not what somebody gives you. Now, you can help someone have righteousness by you're being righteous. You can be an inspiration for someone. I want to be like that. Well, this is just how we live. You know, Scott, I'm going to give. I don't mean to make Scotty feel awkward, but the way Scotty gives, guys, that's when he talks about tzedakah, that's part of his righteousness, because he has inspired me. I mean, I have heard hundreds and thousands of sermons and messages on giving and all of that stuff, but I've never heard it preached the way he preaches it, and it's through his example. I have learned more about giving in what little time I've known Scotty than I have my whole life, and that's just the truth.
Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem.
And that's what your righteousness is supposed to be about. Be that for someone else. That's all you got to be. It's like I said, it's not a theology, not a religion. It's just it's a way of life. It's a reality. Just like what Pesach says. It's not a religion. It's a reality. It's all it is. We're not here trying to get anybody to join any kind of religion. We're asking you to go and be the person God asked you to be. And that's what righteousness really is. Go ahead, Scotty.
No, words can't explain. I'm just,
I didn't mean to throw you on the spot, but it's just
Nope.
the truth. It's just the truth. And yeah, Thomas can attest to that. Look, I mean, the changed person that Thomas has become because of the tzedakah that you have shown us all.
That's a fact. And yeah, he's taught me how to be a better man too. He not only talks it, he walks the talk.
Right. And that's all we're talking
And
about.
I love you.
We're not asking you to be something, super religious and super pious.
Right.
That's no. You're going to have moments and times when things will come to you that you'll need to do. And as you learn to do things, it'll just become part of who your character is. You'll find yourself opening the doors for people coming out of the grocery store, and you'll find yourself helping people and giving charity, and just doing the same things. One of the things I like to do is, we've got some young people at my job that we've hired, and I like to encourage them to be better people. Doing the right thing. One of them's lifestyle's not exactly how I would want to be, and it doesn't actually agree with actually the law of God. But that doesn't give me the right to treat them that the image of God's not in them. We have to remember the image of God is in every person, and how we treat that person, we're treating the image of God. That's the biggest thing we need to learn about righteousness.
Yes.
Go ahead, Scotty.
Well, Terry, there's no way we can cover all the terminology, because there's other avenues of righteousness. Tzedakah, being a Sadiq. Did I say that right? Being someone that's righteous.
Righteous.
And we're not saying that you can do this all the time. It's a learning experience. It's a growing experience.
It's lifelong.
Yes.
It's just a lifelong thing. It's not about being religious and being pious and sitting and studying the Bible 7 hours a day and all that. No, matter of fact, you don't need to do that. Just know what's right and what's wrong.
Right. There is one principle that I want to throw on here. We're about at the hour and 30 mark. But there's one principle I want to throw in here that will help you do tzedakah great, do righteousness, do good deeds. And that principle I just want to call gratitude. gratitude, being thankful for everything, thankful for everything that happens to you, will change you into a different person. And am I saying that right, Terry?
No, you're correct. I mean, Rabbi Arush, a Breslov rabbi in Israel, has written several books on just gratitude alone and how gratitude will bring miracles actually in your life.
So it's a principle that if you are thankful, I know everything is not great. I don't have blinders on. I know that there is a lot of trouble and turmoil. Some of us worry. Well, I don't want to use the word worry. Some of us have to think hard about where our next meal's coming from. You know, the world's changing. Be thankful for what you have, and give gratitude, and in the tzedakah, in the giving, in your good deeds, it will change you. It will change your outlook on everything that happens around you. I was going to tell another story, but I'm not going to tell it. I can't.
We'll wait till another time.
Yeah. So, Terry, are we coming to a close?
We can bring this into a close, which we'll be speaking about righteousness. As a matter of fact, I want to do the Abraham's righteous man, because that will continue the subject actually.
Okay.
Even into a deeper aspect.
Great.
We hope everyone has enjoyed. I guess I'm going to say the word enjoyed, or actually and gained, benefited from the way Scotty and I done this class. This is how we get together. Sometimes we study like this, and Scotty will put his thing on record. He says, "Oh, we got to record this," and stuff. And but this is how we do our videos. We get together, we have a little bit of a talk, and then we go into discussion, and we both learn from it. And we hope y'all did too.
Yes. I want to run over real quick here to the Facebook pages, and I want to thank Abby. Abby, thank you so much. Abby said something there a while ago, and I made a note of it, but I want to read it. Doing good is how you help others restore their faith in humanity and strengthen their faith in God. That's what you said, but there was something else she said. I really want to, they benefit from your goodness, but it is not to their merit. That was on a reply to our discussion. They benefit from your goodness. So I thought that was a great way to put that. So we thank, and also over on, I believe Christina Thompson is there on that Facebook page, and also Tiffany Self is over there, and then we had several Zakia and Wendy Shepherd, and was over on the YouTube, and we have quite a few listening in different areas. And so we thank everybody for coming and spending this time with us tonight. And we're especially looking for you next week, because we're going to pick up right where we left off, aren't we, Terry? You're going to take us over to Abraham.
Yes, we'll just, why don't we do that, Scott? Let's just do this same thing next week. We're going to discuss Abraham's righteous man, and we're going to be learning from Rabbi Hirsch, and also from the Art Scroll. Something very interesting I learned several years ago about when two things that I want to bring out next week and leave you with some cliffhangers. There's two things about Abraham's beseeching the Creator about 50 righteous men. There's two things there that you'll never get in translation, and it blew my socks off when I read it and understand it in the Hebrew. And you will not see that passage again the same ever again.
Well, all right now, so that's a challenge to come back and find this out next week. I can see everybody that's got Bibles that has the commentaries in it, text that's got the commentaries, they're going to go over there in the Hamish and try to read all the commentaries, and that's, you probably provoked many to start reading right now.
Hey, don't just read, study. And if you don't have the scriptures where you can study it from the Hebrew, let me just do this real quick. Good place to start. It's where I started 20-something years ago. I was recommended, and that is to get the Art Scroll Hamish. Hamish means 5. It's the Torah.
Hold on, Terry. Let me put you on speaker view. I'm gonna mute. I'm gonna mute and put you on speaker view so everybody can see it.
All right. I recommend this for all your libraries. And like I said, before I knew anything, this was what was recommended to me from a person that I was learning from. 2008-ish. No. Maybe 5 or 6. Probably more. It's 20 plus years ago. Now, time slips. Boy, it really does slip faster. After you go 50, it's gone. But this is called the Art Scroll Hamish. If you can see that, Hamish means 5. It's the 5 books of Moses. What it does is it contains, it's the Art Scroll English translation for the English-speaking Jewish people. It has, I don't know if you can see, it has English on one side, Hebrew on the other, and then it has commentary on some, and it's got some really good stuff you can start learning from the traditions of Israel. And I recommend that as a staple in your library for studying. And if you get one and you decide to study and stuff, you got questions, feel free to contact Scotty or myself, and we can help you out there. I bought mine at Barnes & Noble right here in Chattanooga 20-something years ago. It was about like $56, and they're about still the same price, somewhere in there. Hardcover, good quality. I mean, I've used it. Their Art Scroll materials is very, very good quality. You will pay a little bit for it, but it's buying quality. It's not an internet fast print, edition.
And if you don't mind getting a used one, and I've got some used ones here that I try to get and give out to, but they've got marks in them where people have studied. Sometimes you can find those on eBay around $35.
Right.
So giving eBay a plug there. I've been giving some plugs tonight. I don't know why.
There you
go. So all right, Terry, can I make my closing argument?
You can make a closing. I just want to thank everyone for hanging in with us. We've enjoyed it. We love getting together like this and examining something. And we know we stirred some questions. And feel free, please, to send us your questions. We are not afraid of questions.
Right. As I first talk about our Facebook pages, I want to plug another Facebook page. Veronica Port, who is here many times, she's got Simply Noahide. So if you would like, and she just puts it plain, this is a simple walk. And so if you'll go over and request to join her page, I'm sure she would love to have you over there for you to come and gain information. And then also, we appreciate those that came in tonight through a simple walk and to come this way, gain some information. We thank you so much. Those of you that are listening by B'nai Noach Fellowship, we thank you also. We had quite a few in there, as I gave some names. And then Outreach Noah. I'm trying my best to get them all in here.
I know it's hard
YouTube
sometimes.
Channel. Please, we ask that you go over and subscribe to that YouTube channel. When we get to 100 subscribers, we'll be able to have a couple more things that we can do with that. And we're really trying to vamp that YouTube channel up. And we're almost there now. I think we got 40 something.
No, we're at 56.
We're at 56 now.
We're just past the halfway point. And like I said, when I was doing some research on making the changes, YouTube stated that I think after 100 subscribers, you can shorten the URL down to where it's easier to remember and to use.
Great.
And that's one of the positive
All right. So please go over there and subscribe to that Outreach Noah. And those of you that are come and joined us tonight via Power Faith Radio, we also want to thank you and just ask you to come back. And we thank you again so much. And remember, every name mentioned in our Tzedakah time tonight, we did this class for them.
And Scotty, I'll just share, since you did, some people did ask in the beginning, and now you're saying it again, that this is how, when we mention the blessed memory that they merit, and this is how they merit through the giving of tzedakah, whether it's through a class or when you do a good deed, or give charity in the name of someone who has passed in their name. It takes the soul and the body to observe a commandment of God. The soul cannot observe the commandment of God without the body, because, again, the commandments are actions. Righteousness is actions. Wickedness is actually an action as well, but we stay away from that. We're going to go to righteousness. So when a person passes and their body is in the ground and their soul is in its journey, back to the Creator who sent it. When we do a biblical teaching, or a charity, act of charity in the name of a blessed memory, they cannot do that. But when we use their name and we do their name in their behalf, they get to participate in it because it's done in their name, and it brings joy to that soul, and a joy that we can't understand on that side. And so it's one way we can help benefit those who have passed, is to bring joy to that soul for doing righteousness in their name.
Yes. All right, everybody. We'll look forward to seeing you here next Wednesday night,
Yes.
8 p.m. New York time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next Wednesday.
Yes.
See you here.
Yeah, y'all have a good week and good weekend.
Yes. Bye-bye.